Caesar clowns a dick and Luffy meets a dragon in my review of One Piece episode 610. Before you guys watch this review, make sure and check out my latest review of Attack on Titan episode 21. You can check it out right up top. Make sure and thumbs up and subscribe. It was probably my favorite episode of the series. So let's just talk about this week's episode of One Piece. And if you were expecting Smoker and Virgo to have the most epic battle of all time, you might be a little disappointed. That's not to say that they don't have a pretty cool fight, but I'm sure they're going to build it up a little bit more as the episodes go on. But this entire episode actually didn't even focus entirely on Smoker and Virgo. It was actually more about Caesar Clown and how he's manipulating all of his underlings to follow him because Caesar Clown is a complete and total douche. The type of villain you just love to hate. But let's talk about Smoker and Virgo's fight real quick. It's very brief, but there are some pretty cool moments. I love when Virgo is able to use his bamboo in a completely different way. He actually uses it like a blow dart gun and can even make shit explode with it. It's hilariously awesome. And Smoker is, of course, just a badass. He's always been a great fighter. Also, I just want to say I loved the scene where Smoker just decked Virgo right in the face. I've said this many times before in a lot of my other anime reviews. No matter how big or flashy an attack is, a punch to the face is always my favorite move. Monet is continuing to block off everything in the biscuit room, torturing all the kids and making sure they can't escape. And then Robin reveals that Luffy told her to try and find some sea stone handcuffs, and then she leaves that up to Brook, Usopp, and Kinemon to go and find them. And Kinemon also wants to find his son, Momonosuke. After this, we get Caesar Clown backstory. You know, we've always known that he's been a pretty famous scientist, but he's always had this sort of rivalry with Vegapunk, who is the most vague character in all of One Piece. They just don't seem to want to show us this character yet. It's revealed in the flashback that Caesar Clown was pretty much off his rocker years ago when he decided to set off this giant bomb. The scene where the entire island explodes is really messed up, and you really get to see how crazy he is. All he really cares about is trying to be better than Vegapunk. Of course, everything Caesar Clown is saying to his underlings is complete and total bullshit, but they're all blindly following him in typical One Piece fashion. You know, if there's a big crowd of people in One Piece who are led by one person, they're always screaming blindly for them and crying like a bunch of big idiots. The end of the episode wraps things up pretty nicely by going around to the different parts of Punk Hazard, and you get to see that Sanji and Tashigi are still trying to make their way out as the Shinokune gas is making its way in. You still have everybody who's still stuck in the biscuit room, but the most interesting part of the episode for me, personally, came right at the end when you get to see Luffy was stuck in this giant, like, trash heap. I was just getting flashbacks to Star Wars Episode 4 when they were all stuck in the trash compactor. And like that scene, there is something in there with Luffy. However, it's not some weird one-eyed monster that wants to kill him. It's actually Momonosuke, Kinemon's son, and guess what? He is turned into this really hilarious little pink dragon that totally looks like Shenron from Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. So, there it is. Decent episode of One Piece at best. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 this week. It moved a little slow and I got my hopes up a little bit because I wanted to see Smoker and Virgo just beat the snot out of each other. And they traded a few cool blows and had some cool poses, but I'm guessing their battle really hasn't even started yet. This was all about Caesar Clown this week and just getting to see the madness within and how crazy he really is. And when they finally decided to start talking about Vegapunk, I was really hoping they were going to finally show him because they've been building up his character for such a long time. I can't wait to see who's actually going to be fighting against Monet, if like Nami and Robin and Zoro are going to team up or something. I'm pretty sure Zoro could probably take her out by himself, but still, I just can't wait to see if there's going to be a big battle from that. I can't wait to see when Kinemon runs into his son because he looks hilarious. You know, I'm just guessing maybe he's like a zone type now, like maybe he kind of like Chopper, like maybe he can have different dragon forms. For the time being, though, he looks really funny, and I like the look. Just, you know, the standard Chinese dragon reminded me like of Shenron from Dragon Ball. But still, pretty funny episode and pretty dark when they got into the Caesar Clown backstory stuff. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. The animation was pretty decent most of the time. It wasn't a perfect episode, but it was definitely above average. So if you're a One Piece fan, I definitely think you should check it out. And I'd love to hear what you guys thought about this week's episode of One Piece. You can let me know with your comments below. Maybe tell me about your favorite moments. And remember, check out my recent review of Attack on Titan episode 21. It was so freaking good, guys. So I will see you next time, guys. Super Kami Guru 9000. Out.